your window back up again, and you are just driving by. But just so happens, God is great, there's a line, right? So your car pulls up right where his sign is. Yeah, you are holding your steering wheel, windows up, looking straight ahead. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Why? Why? All of us have been there, right? Don't make eye contact. The car ahead of you moves, you thank God. And you go and you grab your drink and you leave. Inconvenience, right? So this priest that is walking by, he sees the man and he says he crossed over to the other side. The illustration I gave last time was when you are walking on the street and you see the man sitting in front of you and you know he's going to ask you for $1 and you are walking towards him. So you cross the street where I work, I cross over onto Hamilton Street on the left side just so I avoid him. You get what I mean? So that he's not to change. But when he sees him, he crosses the street and he goes on the other side. Jesus keeps on going further and he says, guess what now? A Levite is now coming by. Now, who is the Levite? Somebody that works in the temple. Thank you. The Levites are God's chosen people. God handpicked them to work all of the works that pertain to the tabernacle. So if you think that anybody will walk by, not the Levites, the folks that Jesus himself, God himself called them, you will have no inheritance because you are my what? Inheritance. So if you think that nobody will walk by, guess what? A Levite will definitely stop and help. If you follow what Jesus is saying closely, the Levite is not walking by, okay? But he is even brave because he sees what is ahead of him and he literally walks towards it. What does the Bible say he did? He looked. So he came and he looked. Okay, that's all right. And then he walked away. To go feed the homeless. Today is my time at Carmichael Outreach. I am late because it's my son's graduation. This is God will provide. I like that, Kirk. I will write that into my notes for the next time I ever have to preach this. God will provide. So he comes and looks and he walks away. Let that sink in, folks. So Jesus says, oh, this is so good. So Jesus says, now guess what? It just so happened that a Samaritan is walking by. By contrast, this shouldn't be the case, right? But a Samaritan is walking by, and the Samaritan, Jesus portrays himself as the Samaritan, folks. When this man is down on his last log, Jesus comes by, and he what? Bandaged up this man's wounds. Pours some oil, picks him up, puts him on his donkey, and takes him to the inn. Now what Jesus is saying here is, you read Matthew 46, what reward is there for you? That's what Jesus is saying. That means you are supposed to be different, right? So if I come into church and I see Kirk, I say, Brother Kirk, how are you doing? We shake hands. How was the week? It was wonderful. From the perspective of the gospel, I have not done anything wonderful. So what Jesus is saying is that the person that wants you dead, wants you fired from your office, that wouldn't just give you a break. When you see that person down on his luck and you reach out and you help that individual, then you have done something different. Are you with me? Then you have done something different. So that's what Jesus is talking about. So Jesus says, it just so happened a Samaritan is coming by, and the Samaritan is the one that stops and helps this individual. Now, I found this thing here. Oh, I wish I could have memorized this. So good. This is from Auntie Ellen. She says this in Christ Objects Lessons, page 531. She says, by no selfish practice can the cause of Christ be served. His cause, meaning Jesus' as to give his own life for their salvation. These souls are precious, infinitely more precious than any other offering we can bring to God. To bend every energy towards some apparent great work in. And there's somebody there who in this story is called the innkeeper. The innkeeper. Now, who is the innkeeper? I'll tell you. The innkeeper is you and I. Right? In the story of the Good Samaritan, sometimes I said it, sometimes we like to be the man that is beaten up, right? That got stripped, and left half for dead. Life sometimes does that to us, but you are not. Sorry to break it to you. You are not the man that is beaten down. You are not the priest, nor are you the Levite that walks by. You are the innkeeper. The one that is often forgotten when this story is told. Why are you the innkeeper? Well, follow this, please. So Jesus knocks on the door now. The innkeeper, like I said, it could be some of us, we are doing very, very well. The business is going well. Our 9 to 5 is fantastic. People love us. Our kids are doing amazing, right? Or it could be some of us who, like myself, it's not all the time is everything going great. And your kids will challenge your thinking each and every single time, right? So Jesus knocks on the door, and the door is open, and it's an innkeeper standing there. Jesus says, I need a room. So he gives them a room. To do what? To care for those outside of these walls. Right? The purpose of you and I is to care for those outside of these walls. Not just about you and I. And even sometimes we fall short of that. I was looking at some stats. I had it here for you. And it says that of the people that are leaving the church, 60% of them are youth, our young people sitting on these 3 rows here. And out of the 60%, 41 of those people left the church because they said they don't have any friends. Another 15% of them said what? They left the church because of hypocrisy. And of course, there is the usual, there was a conflict in the marriage, mom and dad divorced, so one of them moved out and I left. This is what he's really saying, right? That even among the church, we are failing to take care of each other. Are you with me? We are failing to take care of each other, even within the church. But that's not my focus today, right? I'm just bringing that to your attention. That in order for us to be able to care for those who are outside of these walls, we first have to what? Take care of each other. So Jesus tells this man, take care of him. And he says, when I return, I would what? I would what? Okay. Now, before Jesus says, when I return, I'll pay you, he gives the man how much? 2 denarii. When I was Googling how much 2 denarii is worth today. And it says 0.062 cents USD. Right? So to make things easier for us, Jesus gives him $20. I would what? Repay you. Now, this always bothers me. It always bothers me because I would say, why didn't Jesus give us enough to be able to go through it? And when he comes, there is no payment necessary, right? You gave us enough talents that we need. You gave us enough energy that was required to do the work. You gave us enough. But Jesus says, here is just 2 denarii. What does that mean? Have you ever thought about that? What does that mean? Why does Jesus only give him 2 denarii and say, take care of him? Whatever it is that you lose, when I come back, I will repay you. What I think is this. It goes back to the great Jesus wants us to never get tired of doing good. He never wants us to get tired of taking care of those outside of these walls. And sometimes it will drain every single thing out of us. But we have to look to the cross and look at how much it cost Jesus Christ to die for you and I. Right? And that ought to be our strength to never give up, to keep pushing forward. Mission. Take care of what God has entrusted to us. We have to take care of them, folks. Now, today is what? Education Day? Credit Home Christian School Day? Christian Education Day, yeah? So I have to tie this into education somehow. I have to tie this into education somehow. I remember I was in high school and I went to the guidance counselor, okay? And when I went to the guidance counselor, we all know what they do, right? Sometimes they help you select the courses that is right for you. So when you get out of high school and you apply for university, you have those necessary credits. So I walk in and I said, by the way, I had an appointment. So I walk in and I sit there and she says, what's your ID number? I said, my name is Eric. I don't know my ID number. She said, no, here we go by ID numbers. So what is your ID number so I can bring up your file? I was like, so all I am to the school is literally just a number. I remember this story so vividly. So I said, you know what, I don't know it. Let me go to my locker. And every high school in Toronto, they give you a student card, right? So I went and I got my student card and I brought it back and she took it and she punched in the 12-digit number. So, oh, Eric, welcome. And I'm like, when I walked in, I told you my name was Eric to begin with. Right? You are nothing but a number. I mean, I'm not saying that's how all schools are, right? But it pained me because, by the way, my family, they are not Adventists, so let me say this. It pained me because when I was in Ghana, from kindergarten to grade 8, I attended Adventist preparatory school. I think that's how you say that word, right? Where every Friday was Vespers and you were in the church and they told you wonderful stories about God and how important you are and how to think for yourself and how to stand up for what is right and how to see injustice and how to be able to be the one that can stand out of the crowd and say, this is not the way things ought to be done. This is the way things should be done, right? All of that was ingrained in my head. So when I first come to Canada and I enter grade 9 and somebody doesn't even know who I am, they have to identify me by number. It's like, huh. It immediately hit me the difference between being in a Christian institution versus being in a general institution, right? Where you are treated just like everybody else. Okay? Again, I'm not saying that because my wife teaches there. I'm saying that because that was just my natural upbringing. And let me tell you something hilarious too. So my dad came to visit me, right when COVID ended. And I remember one time we were walking up in the park, and he's like, so I heard you went to school to become a minister. I'm like, uh-huh. And then he's like, why? Again, he's not an Adventist. He's like, why? I said, I don't know. You guys put me in an Adventist school, and this is how I was brought up. So I asked him, why did you put me in an Adventist school when you guys were not even an Adventist? For background, my mom was the most, they must be good. I said, well, hey, that's good enough for me, right? So I went through all that. They were charging the most, so I figured this is perfect. They would do very well here. You can't charge that much and for great education. Anyways, maybe that's a bad example. But that's how I ended up in a Christian institution with no Adventist family whatsoever. And I think I turned out okay. right? So I guess where I am getting to is the value of Christian education, right? I say this over and over again that there are three places where education takes